we're back from London. Yeah. So hey guys, it has been a long time since I have gotten a chance to speak to you in person, and I am kind of amazed and a little flustered that we are back home, but we are indeed back in Michigan. And a lot of you guys didn't even know that we left Michigan, and that's kind of an embarrassing story to tell, but you may remember for months now, all summer in fact, I have been telling you guys that I have been building up towards Chips's big birthday present, and we were going to go, and I was keeping it secret, and it was going to be so fun. And when we got there, I was gonna go live and I was gonna show you guys like some of the key features of where we were to get you guessing where we were visiting. And then I totally forgot that I have a very old cell phone, and so I could not buy a SIM card that would work in England. So I actually have gone the last 2 weeks without any internet, and it was a very surreal experience as a YouTuber indeed. However, I survived. I have brought back many adorable plushies. Spoilers, the puffin is not actually from London. That was actually from a really amazing stopover in Iceland that we got to do for like 22 hours. It was amazing, and the trip was fantastic. If you ever want to really enjoy a historical city such as London, definitely take a history buff with you, a la my beloved Chips. So yes, we have been in London for the last 2 weeks, other than one day on our way home where we stopped over in the magical land of rainbows and horses, otherwise known as Iceland. Our first trip to Iceland together, or my first trip to London ever, my first trip to Europe ever. It was fantastic. It was really fantastic. It was so crowded. And I have a lot of stories to tell you guys. I have so much more appreciation for the history that is over in Europe. I have so much more appreciation for the personal space that I have here in our home in Michigan, where there's not 18 million people crowding onto the tube with me. But it was really, really fantastic. Oh, okay, so I need to stop babbling about how fantastic it was and kind of catch you guys up on some other things. So why were we in London? Chip's birthday, like I mentioned. His birthday was in July, but I wanted to do something really special for him. And my beloved Chips, who is the companion of my everyday, a lot of you guys may probably know this by now, but in case you don't, he is a professor and a historian, and he is currently getting his PhD in history. Chinese history, mind you, but he is a lover of history throughout the world, and London has some very, very important key facets to European history that went on to influence the rest of the world. I mean, just a few things to name, like, oh, you know, Darwin, for instance, which I guess shows my bias to all things natural history related. And then of course you have things like the Magna Carta, which I actually didn't know anything about because American history didn't cover that whatsoever when I was in high school or college, but it is the basis for a lot of the rules of law that eventually the Declaration of Independence was created from. Just the castles themselves were so beautiful. So yeah, there's a lot of history there. The art galleries, I saw the Archaeopteryx, the actual fossil for the Archaeopteryx that was in the Natural Science Museum. I had no idea it was there, and so we were walking around the Natural Science Museum staring at the beautiful stonework and the gigantic whale skeleton. I turn into a tiny little room, walk along, look down, and I'm looking at the Archaeopteryx fossil. The actual fossil right there with the feather imprints on the fossil piece and everything. It blew my mind. It was just tucked away. I didn't expect to find it. Everywhere we went in London, there was some history tucked away. We asked our taxi driver at one point what some of the statues were about, and he just laughed and said there's so many statues to so many kings in the city that he just can't even keep them all straight. So it was kind of a funny joke, but that's kind of how it is. Everywhere you turn, there's another plaque, there's another statue, and when you have a history lover by your side, there's another really fascinating new world that I had no idea about opening up at every corner. It was also exhausting. It was my very first vacation I've ever gone on that was toured around sightseeing. And if you ever want to walk your feet off and not have a second to even snag an Instagram photo and try to steal somebody's Wi-Fi long enough to upload it, definitely go on a sightseeing tour. But it was amazing. I saw some pretty good old rocks of varying fame levels that you guys might recognize. yeah, just a few. You know, ones that are several thousands of years old and represent some of the earliest in Neolithic sculpting and engineering. Some the queen actually happens to currently be residing in, and some that happen to be very, very famous cathedrals and abbeys that I had no idea about. That it was really fun to visit for the first time and learn so much about English history. Like I said, normally Chips and I are focused more on like Chinese and Asian history since that is his profession, but this trip really completely and utterly changed my understanding of the arc of human history, and it put my history books to shame. I never was able to contextualize just how fascinating the last few hundred years of human history has been, and how quickly we have accelerated in engineering and mathematics, and the way cultures have shifted and changed. Basically, I could go on and on. You can tell I've had a couple of weeks just alone with Chips to talk about these things. We had so many fun discussions on the tube about all of the sites that we were seeing and why they were so historically important, and it was fantastic. And then later there were puffins. So yeah, it was fantastic. I fell in love with Bath and the Roman baths there that are well over the 2,000 years old, I believe, and they are so old, those baths, that they had stalactites growing into the baths that were deep underground, that had just been covered up from centuries of dirt piling up until they had become ruins themselves, but had once been used by hundreds of people as a bath. And basically I spent a lot of time with Chip, so you can tell I'm really happy. We had a wonderful time, and I can truly say that, especially with the expertise that he was able to give me over all of the different things we saw, my concept of human history and my concept of the value that we can put into our own lives has completely shifted and changed, and I'm really, really, really grateful that I went there with him and that we had such a great birthday trip together. And I'm home. Also, there's amazing vegan food in London, and I will talk more about the various things we saw in London as well as Iceland in some little chatty vlogs. I actually did not vlog very much while we were on our trip because it was a family trip. We had a lot of friends there with us too. They actually flew out from the States so we could all celebrate together. So it was very busy and very crowded, and it was very cool to kind of just step into that life with my friends and just traveling abroad and learning together. And I really hope that all of the fascinating ideas and the inspiration that I have drawn from everything that we did will come into play for all of the adventures and the stories that I want to tell, because I have pages of notes in my joy journal. I would take it out at the most random moment and I would be looking down the street at like some beautiful architecture, and suddenly I would be like, I have to build this in relic ruins in my zoo crafting series, and my friends would just be like, what? Or we would be like when we were in Iceland and we saw all of the horses. I have never wanted to play Star Stable so bad. It was just amazing the way that all of the things I saw still inspired the stories I wanted to come home and tell. And I'm home and I can tell those stories, including puffins. I'm really in love with puffins. I wish I had more video of puffins to show you, but the little bit that I do have will hopefully convince you that they are extremely cute. Yes, extremely cute, aren't they? Oh my goodness. But yes, okay, so I'm home, I'm settling in. If you guys have been wondering, where have the adventures been, Seri? What has been going on, Seri? Everything that you've seen pretty much since August started, I had to get done in July, which racked up to something like 220 videos done in 1 month. So if I started to seem a little bit like, oh, I'm huffing it, we're almost there at the end, that's why. It was really a lot of work to get that much done ahead of time. Totally worth it for the trip because it was so nice to step away from everything and just be able to be present with Chips and our friends for so long. So yeah, it was fantastic and I'm really happy to be home. I kind of wish I had vlogged more of it to be able to share with you guys, but it was a strict Chips's birthday request to stay like focused and in the moment with the group, because otherwise I would have been vlogging like every pigeon in London. I would have been chasing around with my camera like, guys, look at this one, it has spots. Guys, oh, this one's missing a toe. Guys, oh my goodness, look at this one, eat a piece of bread. I would have been chasing every pigeon in London if Chips hadn't kind of just gently asked that I could be present. So yeah, if you're wondering why there's not a lot of like London vlogging, it was a family trip. If you're wondering where the adventures have been, I had to get everything done before I left for the trip. I'm home. I'm home. Like, I'm home. It feels really weird to be home. I've been in planes, subways, tour buses. I have been in taxis. I have been traveling so much that I'm still like, am I really here? Like, I need to pinch myself a few times. I've literally been living out of only what could fit into my backpack and a small bag for almost all of August. So I feel like I just came home to a palace with my office. It's really cool. And I really want to start feeling at home with my stories too. I feel like they have just been piling up and like bundling themselves up so that I can come home and tell them. And I did want to kind of talk about that a little bit too, because I know that things have been kind of like weird the last couple months in terms of what adventures I have been able to provide to you guys. So I wanted to clarify. I know that's been a little bit different than what I normally do. And now I'm kind of ready to, after that big break and kind of after feeling myself just go on that adventure, settle into creating things that resonate and give me a sense of home here too. So you guys are gonna see, now that the chaos of summer is over, now that Chips and I are finally not traveling for a hot minute, thank goodness, you're hopefully also going to see me starting to come home in the adventures that will start appearing. Lately, I have had to do a lot of what I consider like the poppy sort of videos where they're short and sweet and fast. They get the job done and they give us some time to celebrate just a fun little adventure in an app game, or our Sims 4 genetics challenge, which is really fun and always goes in unexpected directions. That's kind of hilarious. But there have been like a lot of poppy things, and as we were on the trip and I would have just a few minutes trying to help myself fall asleep, I'd be writing out ideas. It was the stories that I really miss, the deep worlds, the very immersive deep worlds that we create in our Sims stories with our zoo crafting adventures. I realized that it's been so busy and I have been trying so hard to hold things together that I haven't really had time to sort of slow down and ask myself, what do I really want to be part of? What do I really want to see? What do I really want to do? And the secret is that anytime I do have a minute to slow down and do those things, to do the things that really resonate with me, you guys always love it. And it's always the things that leave the deepest impression, that build a world that we end up creating together and that create a world that has life to it on its own. Our Sims Legacies, the Zoo Crafting series, like I mentioned, this Warrior Cat series, without a doubt, even the Wolf Quest series, the things that I have the time to sort of sink into and work on without feeling rushed, or like I have hundreds of thousands of people, which I do, to try to please and try to make it appealing to. When I have time to just sort of take it at my own pace and be honest to what I really feel like creating on that deeper level, it always ends up being something really good. And so I'm ready to come home to that too. And I haven't really had time all summer, and even before that there was so much going on in the background. It's been a while and it feels really good to come back from this trip ready to feel like I can come back to the adventures that make up the heart of why I know a lot of you guys have stuck around for so long, the deeper things. They take a little bit longer to come out. It's all like Cloud Sagas, our Dog Quest series. They are also the things that have a lot of life and heart. So I'm really hoping that they can return. And if I'm not hoping, I'm gonna make it happen. That said, I'm really also realizing, and you hear this all the time among other YouTubers, that a schedule can be something that's really great, but I'm gonna work really hard not to have a schedule where I feel like I have to create something that day and get it out that day when we do 3 to 5 episodes a day, because that doesn't give me time for those deep work things. So I just wanted to let you guys know that if like you seem a little curious, like why are some things not showing up as much as they have, Seri? Well, one, I was off with Puffins and in London for a little while, and two, I'm gonna start trying to really commit myself to taking the time to do more of those deep worlds and creating those deeper stories. They take a lot more time, they take a lot more effort, but they have a sense of life to them that I really miss and that I really feel like is my sense of home. And even while we were traveling, I never felt upset, even when we were stuck in really long lines, or there were some moments like when our pipes exploded in our Airbnb, which I'll talk about on the vlog channel. The first night in London, I spoke with more emergency plumbers at 3 in the morning with very heavy English accents where we had to translate back and forth what we were trying to say to each other than I did anything else for the first 2 days in London because the pipes exploded in a very nice Airbnb flat in Kensington, which you wouldn't think would happen, but it did. So yeah, I have a lot of silly stories like that to share with you guys too. But even during those stressful moments, it was really interesting how I didn't lose my temper. I didn't feel panicked, because when I needed to fill the time and calm down, I would just write out those deep world ideas. Our warrior cats are going to go on a lot of adventures, basically. But I'm rambling. I'm really happy to see you guys. Other adventures will also be coming back as I have time for them and as I feel that they're the right thing to be able to start flowing into. It's complicated and I'll talk about it more on the vlog channel, but I'm beginning to realize that with the kind of creative work that you do, sometimes it's really good to discipline yourself to a schedule, and sometimes I think it's the reason I have struggled so hard since last November, honestly, and to now, to really be able to slip into those deep worlds and create something that's unlike anything else that I really can find elsewhere. So I'm rambling, I'm happy. I saw puffins, I saw Iceland. It is literally a land of rainbows and magic and horses and sheep, and it was beautiful. Even though it didn't have like a single tree that was not purposely planted, because it's just flat, beautiful greenery and rainbows and waterfalls everywhere. Yeah, I'll talk more about that in the vlogs, but I just wanted to let you guys know we're home. We had a good time in London. We had a fantastic time in London. We had a magical time in Iceland, and I am ready to start coming home to our adventures. So if you've missed them, they're coming back soon. If you've missed the deeper world stuff, I am just gonna, it's coming. It's going to come back, and I just feel like that's very important to tell you guys because, oh, that's where the heart is, right? That's where the green heart of all of it is. So yeah, that will be coming back. Expect poppy things as well. By that poppy things, I mean like Dragonville World. Ooh, I have some really good things to show you guys in Dragonville World. The app games, the little fun, easy things, kind of help to tide over everything so that I can secretly be working behind the scenes on our wolf quest, on our warrior cats, on our Sims legacies with our green family and our 101 Dalmatians challenge. So I am working on those things in the background too. Poppy things just might show up faster because they're easier, and adventures that I want to complete for once, like Jurassic World Evolution, Dayland, several other adventures that I want to take part in, our Star Stable stories. All those things will be returning as I feel it's the right thing that I feel synced with. Which sounds really kind of hippie, doesn't it? But that's okay. Yeah, just that's all. I had a great time. I'm happy to be home, and I can't wait to share more stories and explain about the puffins with you guys, hopefully on the vlog channel and here soon. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.